Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to just run through some new products on my site, various 3D CAD file plans and base cabinet plans. And so I'm just going to get right into it here and show you what's new. So one of the products is a new biradial, which is the ES450. And so it fits squarely between the two size variants, the ES290 and the ES600. And so this kind of just fills in a need for a 450 hertz cutoff biradial horn that would fit on top of typically a 15-inch base cabinet. And so the ES290, which is the biggest biradial, it was quite large in that it was quite difficult to integrate with a base cabinet below it, it being 67 centimeters wide, almost 27 inches. And so it's quite a large horn, and so we needed something that was slightly smaller. And so the ES450, obviously a 450 hertz cutoff, and now it actually has the same height as the ES290, measuring 30 centimeters tall, 12 inches, but it's not quite as wide. And so you see here, if I go to the product page details, you can see here the horn dimensions, 54.2 centimeters wide, 29.9 centimeters tall, and you can see it here sitting on top of a 15-inch Onken base cabinet, which also I've included a link for the plans for that base cabinet 1838, which uses the Altec 416 base driver. So now the ES400 biradial is offered in 3 different throat sizes, starting with the 2-inch, 1.5 inch, and then 1.4 inch. And so now the 2-inch actually is not exactly 2-inch. It actually physically measures 1.909 inches based on some JBL compression drivers that I had here that actually measure that size. So I've adjusted the 3D CAD file. You can see here perfect transition to the very popular JBL 2446 compression drivers, and also the very large outside diameter of those particular compression drivers. The ES400 can accommodate that large of a driver. Okay, so just kind of very highly tailored to the throat geometry required to get the best performance out of these compression drivers. So now the 1.4 inch throat is a very popular size for modern compression drivers, and so along that thought, I've included a rear cover for one of my favorite compression drivers, the SB Audience 65 CDNT. And so the rear cover, it increases the rear chamber volume, which lowers the FS of the driver, lowers it from about 500 hertz down to about 280 hertz, allowing it to be used on this size format of horn. Okay, and so what that does with the rear chamber is it cleans up the lower mid-range, kind of in the 500 to 1 kilohertz region. And so it's a noticeable improvement in overall sound quality from an already great compression driver. Okay, so that's the ES400 biradial. Check it out on my site. Now, it uses the tapered geometry, which allows you to machine that as one piece using a standard collet ER20, like I mentioned in previous videos. So you'd machine the bottom and top half separately, and then either screw or glue the two halves together. Okay, so moving on. Actually, I say that, but there's still more. So this may have caught your eye here. This is the Fostex T96A Super Tweeter, and so the rear extension off the back of the horn allows for placement of a super tweeter, which provides physical time alignment between the two drivers. So this T96A shown in the picture here, I'm going to feature that in a future video, where I've replaced the front half of the tweeter with my own ES horn, solid hardwood. I call it a lens. And so you'll see in a future video how that improves upon the T96A in a number of different ways. So okay, so base cabinets, a new Onken inspired cabinet, 1963. So this is a larger 210 liter cabinet meant for the Altec 411. Now you may wonder why I went with the Altec 411. So this is just simply based on a customer's request. They had that specific driver. Now I do offer cabinets for other Altec drivers such as the 416 8A, I believe. I'll put a link there. Now, this is one of the nice things about the Onken style enclosures is that you can block off a number of ports, which lowers the tuning frequency. And so when I design a cabinet, I usually try to create a range of tuning frequencies that are an option for adjusting the overall output to your room acoustics or for your personal preference. And so you can see here, I've just listed off the theoretical tuning frequencies based on what ports you've blocked off. So if none of the ports are blocked off, it's 28 hertz. And then if you block off 3 ports, the tuning lowers to 22 hertz. So it's just a nice feature there that adds some adjustability to accommodate, your preference or your room. So now a much smaller cabinet that's also been introduced, cabinet number 1964. So this is meant for the Faital Pro 15 PR400, and it's a 100 liter, so more than half the size, but you can see here that the tuning frequency range that I've provided is quite a bit higher. So you can have that adjustment range between 48 and 42 hertz. Another cabinet plan available is number 1947, and so this is a much simpler build. This was based on a customer request to have a very simple basic cabinet with the ports out the front using a very affordable Dayton Audio PA380 15-inch Pro Sound woofer, but using it in a home application. So you can see here 40 hertz tuning frequency and then close to 95 dB sensitivity. So if you're looking for an easy build that's affordable, this is one that you might want to check out. So moving on to waveguides, I developed a new waveguide for the Dayton Audio AMT tweeter, the AMT Pro 4. And so I went through a number of design iterations with this, and I finally settled on this particular waveguide using the ES horn flare, and then also these divider fins / phase plugs, whatever you want to call them, which we saw in a previous blog post that it really improves the performance, especially in the 10 kilohertz region. Okay, so that's available as a 3D CAD file as well. Oh, and I should mention too that I am providing these as a CNC hardwood version, where the outside is milled from solid walnut, and then the internal section fits precisely in as a 3D printed part, as a separate part. So it's a two-piece assembly that's comprised of the walnut and then the 3D printed middle section, because it's just simply too hard to CNC these fins from hardwood. Okay, so last for this video is a complete plan set that I've introduced for the Markaudio CHR120. So I had featured the driver in a previous blog post, which showed that it did quite well. And so I did get a number of requests for the cabinet that I had used in that testing. And so I've simply put together a complete plan set that includes the cabinet, the contour circuit, which is a passive crossover that kind of adjusts the overall treble response and makes the driver, it improves the sound quality quite a bit from the Markaudio driver. So complete plan set available. I'll put a link in the description. So that's it for today for videos. Take care and have a great day.